Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. can only mean one thing. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns, and we are back with a bumper episode. I know we say it every week, but this week has gone absolutely bananas on and off the oche from the UK, America, Australia, you name it. Something has happened in the world of darts. Dan Simpson, are we ready for what is going to be a chaotic tour?
Oh, lad, I'm giddy. I am giddy. We've had, do you know, there was a few weeks, so like, spoilers, folks, like Phil and I will often look like, we're always thinking like a few shows ahead. And sometimes, especially as you get into June, you know, we have a little bit of, it can get a little bit dry and it's difficult. And I remember a few weeks ago thinking of tonight's show and thinking, well, you know, I hope we get something decent in that Euro tour because we've got a couple of games in the Premier League and then it's going to dry up in terms of like just talking about darts matches. But you know, ask and the darts gods will deliver, won't they? And yeah, we've got a bit of all sorts tonight to talk about. Some good, some bad, some quite frankly ridiculous.
Some up, some down. Our guests will be on around 9 p.m. because remember, they are literally on the other side of the world. When they join us, it will be Tuesday morning when they are. So around 9, our guests are coming on. But let's jump into the chat room. Malachi Dale is in. Bob, how we doing? Kayle's, Marcus, Owen, Chris is in. Kev, Wayne, Grab, how we doing? Matthew, Shelty, Rob, how we doing? He's watching us on a bit of Twitch as well. Ideal.
We're multi-platform, aren't we, Philip?
To be fair, we're going to be going to 3 platforms soon to try another one out as well. How we doing? Angelica, Warren, David, Seamus, Carl from Darts Tracker. How we doing, mate? Hope you are good. Hope all is well. Good to have you in. Joe, 17, Nina, Brandon. It is absolutely stacked. Josh, how
if you've not listened or heard anything from the world of darts for a week or so, your barometer for whether or not lots have gone on in the world of darts is the state of our chat room early doors when we start a show. And when it's stacked like that, that means there is lots to talk about. Lots of people getting in the chat room clearly with some opinions to share as well.
Absolutely. Preston, how we doing? Josh, good to have you in. Right, let's start on the board before we we go into let's do the Premier League first, and then we can lead on to it. We have a new member of the Triple Crown Club. Congratulations to Cool Hand Luke Humphries on what was an incredible night at the O2. It was, look, I've been very critical of the O2 over the years. But the last 2 years, since they've sold it out and a record number 15,000 in there this time, and watching the audience come in, the younger demographic was insane. I've never seen such a young demographic as what I saw at the O2. And I saw Littler shirts, I saw Aspinall shirts, I saw Humphries shirts, I saw Gezi Price shirts, you name it. We saw it. It felt like a real changing of the guard in terms of audience. And Chris, I'm disappointed that didn't come through on TV because the atmosphere in the arena was absolutely electric.
I thought it looked pretty good. I thought the production was really good. It certainly looked like what it was, which was, you know, the final, if you like, you know, the pinnacle of that. And you know, there's lots of people that have their view that it's appeared repetitive and that it's the same old format, but it definitely felt and looked like it was you know, something a little bit special, something that was a bit different to what we've seen for the rest, or for the 16 weeks previous anyway.
Yeah. Also, evening to the Littler household watching along. Indian today. Always good to have you in, Anthony. Carl, what did I haven't had a look. I'll go and have a look shortly. Yeah, look, it was a really good atmosphere. Being there, it was superb. Yes, it was a very pro Littler crowd, which was being that younger demographic. I suppose we can expect that, but we also got 3 incredible games as well, where normally there's a bit of a stinker, a bit of a shit one, but we got 3 absolute belters on finals night.
Yeah, everybody turned up, didn't they? And I think there was a risk that might not have been the case, because of the levels that we've seen, Luke Humphries and Luke Littler produce, and that produce those levels far more frequently and recently than Price and Aspinall. Then it could have been a 2 demolition jobs, but it wasn't. Everybody came to play, and everybody came to win. And I thought both semi-finals were very watchable. I thought both Gezi and Nathan gave a very, very good account of themselves in defeat. Certainly made it, entertaining and fun. It wasn't procedural. The favourites didn't have it their own way. I think it was an interesting one because there was 4 different stories. I think that could have been told. Obviously, we had the big story with the missing trophy from the cabinet of Luke Humphries, and whether or not Luke Littler could go back to back and be one of just an incredibly small number of players that's done that. But then there was potential there, the redemption story of and the resurgence of the other 2 as well. I think Gezi was unlucky to not be able to maintain once he got ahead, but it's very, very hard. And those, that extra length of format showed, I think, in that game. But yeah, I thought it was cracking. I really did. I make no secret of it, and I get quite a lot of stick for it, that I like the Premier League. I think it's great. I don't think that the selection process is ideal, but I sort of think you have to accept it for what it is and enjoy it for what it is. And if you can do that, then you'll probably enjoy it. And I generally do. And I think it was a really good ending to a long story.
Yeah, and look, I think the first semi-final, Luke against Gezi, there was a real turning point. Gezi missed darts for 7-3 at the break, and if that goes, I think it's a different outcome. I think Luke going in at 6-4 just gave him that little bit of belief, and only being 2 legs behind, in the blink of an eye, he can rattle that in. But 7-3, that's a different mindset altogether. So those missed
both players, I think, as well. I think when I think if you've got 7 legs and your opponent, at that point that you can count the holes of throw. You can count how many holes that you then need, and the finishing line is in sight. When you are 6-4 up against a player with the talent of Luke Littler, I can understand that would still feel that the finishing line some way away. And I think it was a huge turning point for both players.
Well, at that point, from missing darts to go 7-3 up, Gezi only won 1 more leg. That's the key.
Yeah.
And look, Luke was fabulous.
Tackles came off, and by the end of it, you look at the stats at the end of the game, and you see that 104.64 for Littler, plays 95.37 for Gezi. You'd never believe from those stats that at one point that's where we could have been. We could have been at 7-3. And yeah, I do think looking back on it and reflecting a bit, Gezi will see that as a missed opportunity. He knows how good he is, and he knows that if he could have took those chances, then that could have been a very different outcome. And I think once you get into a final, all bets are off. Anything can happen in a final.
The second semi-final, that's the best version of Nathan Aspinall in a long format game I've seen for a while, because he was under pressure. Luke Humphries was always asking questions and so on. And I thought Nathan put up an incredible performance in defeat. Obviously, heartbreaking that he's not gone on to make the Premier League final and so on. But when Luke
still didn't look comfortable, though, did it? Like he manages to make a plus, a ton plus average. He still manages to average just shy of 102 and make it look like real hard work. And he didn't look comfortable. But I just think as long as he can continue to produce levels like that, and we'll talk more about Nathan in tonight's show, of course, then he will continue to do well and win darts matches and beat players. I thought he put up a stellar performance in defeat, and like I say, he made it very watchable. He made it entertaining. He made me sit or move to the edge of my seat.
Yeah, and look, the final itself, it was roles reversed from last year because they went in at 5-all, and it was Luke Littler who came back after the break and put an absolute spurt on, including the 9. This year, it was the other side of the coin. It was Luke Humphries that came back after the break and put on that spurt and took the game away from Luke. So it was a real intriguing that it was almost carbon copy of a year ago, but flipped. The storyline.
I did say last week, didn't I, that I thought it was going to be very, very similar to last year. I thought we were going to. I predicted the set. I even got. I think I got one of the scores bang on the nose as well.
I got the score in the final bang on and the winner.
I was out in the but the game went almost exactly as I thought it would, right up to the break, and then it went exactly as I thought it would after the break. It's just I had it the other way around. I thought that I thought 5-all at the break, and then I thought we were going to see almost an identical game to last year. And full credit to him, Luke Humphries. He came back after that break and was able to just continue to produce very, very special darts, and then to win it with that break at the end, just to keep himself. He never got in trouble. Once he got his nose in front, and once he took that break, and he went 6-5 up, held for 7-5. At that point, he didn't let Littler get close again. And I don't know how much attention he'd paid to the semi-finals, if he'd watched Gezi, get ahead of Luke, and he didn't need to, because he knows that you've never won until you've actually crossed the finish line when you're playing Luke Littler. So I think he just did a very good job of keeping him at arm's length, just keeping him at bay. He took out some very good finishes under pressure as well, just to keep that little difference that he had in legs. And yeah, it was a lovely finish. I thought it was a nice ending. And I think there's lots of people, and let's be honest, newer darts fans, it was a very pro Luke Littler crowd. We are still, let's hope, touch wood, we are still very, very, very early in the story of Luke Littler in darts. And I believe exactly the same of the story of Luke Humphries in darts. And, we've seen 2 Premier League finals in a row where these two have gone at each other full pelt. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if we saw this for the next 2 or 3 years, and they continue to take it in turns to nick one off each other. Because they are, the 2 best players in the game going into battle with each other. And that is what's going to happen. They are going to beat each other because their opponents are so very, very good.
I'm just going to read we all know Wikipedia is the fountain of all knowledge and is never wrong. But I know God will be watching back, and Jar will watch back at some point. I'm just going to read the line. Luke Humphries won the Premier League for the first time, defeating Luke Littler 11-8 in the final. This made Humphries the 4th player to complete the PDC Triple Crown after Gary Anderson, Phil Taylor and Michael Van Gerwen.
Oh, I tell you, do we need to, so we've talked about it so many times, and it's mainly just time, folks, while we haven't, but, when we do finally get around to properly launching the OD merch, do we need like a band t-shirt with the tours of Triple Crown champions on the back and the dates? We can send one to, we can send one to Jar and Gobcat, and we can get them the Triple Crown t-shirt.
Right, let's play a quick clip from Luke.
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's the missing piece in the puzzle in the CV for me. I've still got the UK Open and European Championships to go and the World Series finals to complete the whole collection. But like I said, if I don't achieve that, then the top three. I know there's not a physical Triple Crown, but the PDC would never say that's a Triple Crown. But for me, it's the three hardest to win. I think everyone looks at the three biggest. So to have that one now, really, really nice. There's only 4 people that's done it, so that makes it really, really special. Nothing.
Is it words of advice or?
Yeah, but I'll keep that private between me and Phil. He just gave me confidence and was supportive of me.
Now, he was touching on that Phil Taylor he'd had a text conversation with Phil Taylor prior to, I don't know if it was the final or finals night. Now, I say this tongue in cheek, but if you've got Phil telling the opponent how to beat one of your stable,
no good. Alarm bells are ringing. Whose contract's up for renewal first? No, but I think that, but like, I also know, because I've been lucky enough to spend a good chunk of time with Phil, as have you, and he's not discriminatory in terms of offering guidance and advice, especially to the younger players, regardless of who their managers are. We'll come on to managers later. Who their managers are, who their manufacturers are, who they're signed to, who their sponsors are, etc. He is giving and with his advice and guidance. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that he's willing to do that. And I'm fairly sure that young Mr. Littler has also probably received some various words of advice and guidance from the great man as well.
Yeah. Evening, Mark. How are we doing? Good to have you in. And yeah, Bob makes a good point as well that Luke Littler could become the 5th at the match play as well. Also, Barry was Barry at the Premier League finals night. He was there peacocking around.
Barrying. He was Barry Herning around the building.
Entertaining clients and doing his thing. And Belgium TV asked, Barry, can you come in and just give us a bit quickly? And Barry never wanted to pass up the opportunity. And at this point, you can see the PDC media staff going, no, get him out before it's too late. Oh, too late.
It's too late. Oh, someone's got to write a social media post now. Bollocks.
So we are going to Belgium. We're going to Antwerp in next year's Premier League. We still don't know which city is going to be ditched from the UK's running order. I've got some theories behind this, which we'll touch on in a second. But yeah, Barry telling the world that we are going to Antwerp in the Premier League, ruining the PDC's planned press release, big announcement from Antwerp, and so on. They had it all planned out, how they were going to do it. Barry,
well,
hold my coat.
I think it. What it demonstrates, I think, is that he's honest. He likes to lead from the front, doesn't he? Does Barry? He likes to give the people what they want. He knows that there's been a clamour for that. We've talked about it loads, haven't we, recently, about a Premier League venue in Europe, specifically in Belgium. We've done the talk about what we'd drop and what we wouldn't and everything else. So, I think it's great news. Good news for Belgium, good news for European darts, good news for the fans out there that will get the opportunity to enjoy a Premier League night. Smashing. And again, let's be honest, if we lose one of the ones that we think we're going to lose, then, let's be honest, people are just going to have to travel 20 minutes extra to see the
hear me out. The smart money is on Sheffield by the look of it. But hear me out. Could we get rid of Exeter? And the night before the Premier League, night before the UK Open, we do not have a Premier League night. We have a week off. So,
play havoc with my travel plans. So I hope not. I mean, I've already got the Premier Inn booked in Exeter for next year. So they fucking better not.
so players can concentrate on the UK Open, because look, we've had the running gag for a long time that the Premier League night extra, it's the one night that players don't actually mind losing early, because if you're out of the venue by 8:30, you're in Minehead for 9:30, you get a good night's sleep and so on.
I can definitely see the case being made. The problem there is, and like the genuine problem there is, you have to move then your calendar to either start early or go later, and that poses a problem because there's no fucking space in that calendar. It's a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I'm just chucking an idea out there.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, it's a theory. It's not a theory I enjoy, because I think that there is something quite cool and special about Exeter. It's one of my favourite Premier League nights of the year. If you don't agree, you probably haven't been, and if you've been, then you'll probably think this is. And when I say been, Phil, I mean been. You doesn't count. Like, you don't count. It's not what you do. That's not an enjoyable night at the like. I've watched what you do at those Premier League nights. No one's fucking enjoying that. But I think, if you're there as a punter, and for a lot of people, like it's the opportunity for everybody in that part of the country to get to the darts, which, locally there's not loads else down there. And it's also an opportunity for people to extend their trip, as I do, for what is an unbelievable weekend at the UK Open in Minehead. I think if we lose Exeter at some point, it would be because we get a big arena in that part of the world,
or something like that.
Yeah, I think that they'll maintain that on the calendar so that at some point they can transition it to a big arena in Bristol, which would solve the same logistical problems for the PDC that Exeter solves for them, but still give them a big arena in that part of the world with probably slightly more modern facilities than we get in the cattle shed.
Right. Quick couple of questions. How are we doing, Paul? Certainly on the Euro Tour, they have been throwing people out recently. In the bigger arenas, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit harder. But in the Euro Tour, yes. And also, Marcus, on this one, private jetting the players would be fine. The issue is all the security staff, the rigging crew, and all the people then they have to go and work at Minehead as well. So the players, they couldn't physically do it for everyone.
You have to put a bus on, and they'd love that. Big fun bus, big coach.
Yeah.
Party bus.
But right, that is the Premier League. Right, let's do it.
Hang on, before we move off the Premier League, question for you, Phil.
Yeah.
Should, and I'm sure that the broadcaster would fund this, in your opinion, should a crown be manufactured and awarded for people who have, like, should Sky be presenting a crown to a player for achieving that a physical object?
Yes, 100%. I am bang up for it. And like in snooker, they should have it on their shirt somewhere, a little crown to say that you've won.
So in terms of the trophy, crown-shaped trophy on a pot or real hat?
I know, I'm going full. I want cloak.
Real hat, yes. You've been watching The King of the Ring?
I'm going full King of the Ring, yeah.
Yes, a scepter.
I'm like, yeah, no half measures. I'm going.
Yes.
I'm going full out.
Yes, yeah, no, I'm all for that. Have it by the side of the stage, yeah. Put it on the crown, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I want Luke Humphries' next walk-on to be some sort of regal royal anthem music playing, some sort of ceremonial crowning piece.
Or we can go full Tyson Fury in Vegas. He sat on
or carried in on a litter.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, do that. Let's have that. This is a serious podcast.
The 2025 Premier League is done and dusted. It is in the ledger. And congratulations to Cool Hand Luke Humphries. Right, let's go here. We dropped a very interesting interview with the PDPA chairman, Peter
We
Manley.
did. That's we. Nobody else. Everyone's talking about it, but it was online darts. That's who broke it.
Now, first of all, I'm actually going to say I respect Peter's answers. I don't agree with them, but I respect the fact that he said it how he felt. Now, he could have put the politician's face on and given us a real drab answer. Oh, we'll look at this for the players. And he could have gone full Keir Starmer and hidden behind answers. He didn't. It's got people talking. His answers. Do I agree with them? No. But I respect the honesty for it, because he could have easily hidden.
I think to do that requires a degree of. I'm going to get myself into trouble. I can't get myself into trouble on my first sentence on the subject, can I? I think it was honest. He definitely shared how he felt about it. Whether or not you think that should be commended or not is another matter.
Yeah, like I say, I don't agree with it, by the way. But now, when we get modern players moan too much, when you're there for the good of the players to listen, I felt was a little bit far stretched.
I think you're being very kind, Philip.
Should we play the clip?
Yeah, let's hear it first.
Does the modern player moan too much then, compared to your day?
Well, we all moan, but it's there were different moans. You know, they're totally unnecessary. A lot of them, totally unnecessary. But we deal with them all the best way we can, and and we try and we put their side. But what they don't reason with is the fact that they just say, let's make it 1,000 and then 250. Yeah. That's easy done. Why? Why do you want to make that 250? Because it pays for you. So does that mean that you won't give your manager 30, 40, 50%? Because that's where the money's going. In my day, there was no managers. We didn't have a manager. I understand the fact that these guys now, when they get in the top 8, 16, life changes and it does become a little bit overwhelming. So yeah, they do need the help. But some of these guys think they've got to have a manager because his mate's got a manager. Not because they need someone. They're winning enough. I advise people, when they come to me, I would advise a young person to see how they get on. Keep whoever's interested in sponsoring you, managing you, just keep them at bay and just see how you get on. Play 5, 6 Pro Tours, and if you do well, you could be heading for Blackpool, you could be doing all sorts of things. And why give 40, 50% away?
I mean, there's two elements to that in there. Like,
don't worry, this is just the first bit.
I say there's two. There's three in that. You can split that into 3 bits. So first of all, you've got the general overarching sort of view that people moan too much, but the current moans aren't relevant. The old moans were fine. Like the moans in his day were okay. They were justifiable moans. The current moans aren't. There's the bit about the money, and it's like, and I think that the difficulty I have with it is that I'm completely fine with people having the opinion that like there shouldn't be losers' money at Pro Tour. Like that's fine. That's your opinion. That's great. The same as you can have an opinion that like smoking doesn't hurt you. But you can't say that if you're a doctor. While you're at work, you have to say to people, you shouldn't smoke, it's not good. And the problem is this bloke has a job, he has a role, which is to support and put forward the players' best interests. Now, I don't think a reasonable argument can be made that players travelling to events and not being able to earn their basic expenses back is in the best interests of the 128 Pro Tour players that he represents. I don't think you can stitch those things together. Do I think he's perfectly entitled to that view? Yes. I cannot get my head around how he can hold the position that he does and have that view. That makes no sense to me at all. And if I was a member of an organization where the person, it's literally like my boss at work going to speak to, you know, the National Joint Council of Unions when it comes to my pay rise and saying, I tell you what, those lads on the bottom end, you don't want to give them anything. Like the chief exec, they can have a, like, give them a pay rise, that's fine. The board members, they can have a pay rise, they've earned it, you see. But all those lads down there, you don't want to give them a pay rise. If I found out my boss was saying that and he's supposed to be fighting my corner, I'd feel a little bit betrayed. I'd feel like he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing for me in that circumstance. If I was having to give him a percentage of my wages to go and fucking do that, I'd be even more pissed off, because that's the thing that will really bite people. That's the thing that will really piss people off, is because of the way that that organisation is structured and the way that players have to financially contribute to it. They then watch somebody who should be operating with their best interests at heart and isn't. And if he thinks that he is, I just want to hear it. I want to hear him explain to the world why it is in the best interest for players that they don't get paid. That's I would love to hear the argument. And then we move on to the management argument, which, and I think the way, I was very pleased with the way, like, we want professional sport without professional support. That's the best way I've been able to sort of put it into a sentence. Like, so we want this game to be continue to grow as a sport and to keep the image of it professional. We want more people to be able to leave their day jobs and commit to being a full-time dart player. We want, because we know that will develop the game. More people will play better because they can commit more to the game, etc., etc. Like, the idea that, and you have to remember as well, that when you speak, when you hold a role like he does, you do not anymore speak for yourself. You just don't. Like, if the CEO of an organization or the chairman of a board comes out into public, regardless of the sector, and makes a statement, that is not their opinion. They don't have an opinion anymore privately. They are that role. That is what they are acting on behalf of. So we now find the PDPA doesn't agree with players having managers. It's the strangest and most sort of backward thinking approach. Like, it's bizarre. Like, if his problem is management companies prey on players early in their careers, sign them up to unreasonable deals and take a disproportionate amount of their prize money, he's entitled to that opinion. And what he should do then is he should come out as the chairman of the PDPA and he should say, I think this is outrageous. And in order to protect the players, I would like to put forward a motion in which we start to limit or put some protection in place in terms of the contracts that management companies can put in place with players, the roles and responsibility of the management companies, what the players are then having to reimburse in terms of percentages of winnings and things like that. But that is not the point he made. The point he made was just don't have a manager. You fucking deal without. You might get to Blackpool.
Can I add something to that as well, which makes it worse? Is managers' contracts with players have to go to the PDPA to see. So they see every contract that a player signs.
I just, like I say, it sounds to me like a view from a pub in the 80s It's looking for professional sport without professional support, and I just find, in what other sport that is trying to progress would that be the view and the mindset that players don't need? Because, like, Jesus Christ, the players have their management companies, arguably, to both protect them and to help increase their earnings and to benefit them and represent them. But if they haven't got their management companies, who have they got to do that? Oh, they've got the PDPA, haven't they? Because it sounds like they've got it all covered.
Well,
You know,
this is the thing and this is what a lot of the comments were saying, that off the back of the interview, it sounded like the PDPA were working for the PDC, not the players. And when I asked him, look, did you agree to the Euro Tour changes? When you say yes, that's not at what's best for all 128. Yes, it's best for 16 of them, but you're looking after every player. And the management,
does it then become disproportionate based on the money that's paid into the PDPA from the players is a percentage? So if somebody's giving you 2% of fuck all is fuck all. 2% of £1 million is a shit pile of money. So who are you looking after? And therefore, what is the point? What are your goals? What is your vision for that organisation? And how are you actually implementing that vision? What's the strategy?
Couple of questions or things here. Yes, Warren, that all registered managers are with the DRA, and every year they have to pay a fee to continue their license or whatever. So that all managed, or all managers are registered with the DRA. I'll come to that in a minute. I was meant to go to that one. At the moment, no, there is not a players rep on the PDPA.
Why would there be?
And also, it was interesting that off the back of it, being at the Premier League, and subsequently the amount of players that have asked for that interview and asked for a link to that interview, the general consensus is they are not happy with that interview. They feel let down by the PDPA chairman. I'm not going to name names because it was said privately, but there are a lot of disgruntled players that believe...
It's not one or two, though, is it?
No.
It's not one or two. There is a movement. People have
there are
heard those comments.
There are a large majority of people that I have spoken to subsequently since, that they've rung me as well, that are not happy with those comments. Now, does that make his position untenable? Those kind of comments?
I can only speak from the real world, and with my real world head on, with how real organizations work, that was little more than a resignation in peace. Like, I don't know how you can come back to the table and collect the 2% of all the players, having aired that is the view that you hold, and therefore is the view of the organisation. And if you don't speak for the organisation, then you're not doing your job, and it probably needs to be somebody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, and let's play the second clip.
And it's one of a lot of players. And it comes from a lot of players that probably aren't doing too well, and realising that obviously Barry's golden ticket isn't a golden ticket as far as they're concerned. But then the PDC do as much as they can to give the prize money and the structure that they've got now, that they can't, it's never going to please everyone, regardless of what you did. Now, obviously the prize money went from 1,000 to 1,250. Everyone's saying, why didn't you give the 250 to the? But why? You haven't won a game. And you know, Barry's words from the beginning was, you've always got to win a game. You cannot just turn up and money. So the golden ticket really starts and finishes with the fact that you can now earn £1 million as a world champion, and no one stops you. You've got so many chances to qualify now for the World Championship that if you don't, you know, you've got to look at yourself and think, well, either you're going to do some more work and get into it, and you know, there are players that we could probably pick out that we know that are looking, and one to mind, to me, just immediately comes is Ross Smith. That when you look at him last week in the Players' Championships, 2 9-darters, wins the event. Was it 24 legs?
24
consecutive legs. I mean, it's fantastic. The kid wants to be in the Premier League. He wants to be, you know, better than what he is. He wants to win more. And that's what they all should have. And if they haven't, then they don't deserve to be there.
This one got me a little bit, because if you're not there, then go and work hard, or you don't deserve to be there. It's physically impossible for everyone to qualify for the World Championships. With the places that go, look, I know we're at 128 now, but those places go to affiliate tours. They go to the Dev Tour, the Challenge Tour, and so on, overseas qualifiers. So it is physically impossible for every player to qualify for the World Championships. So it's all right saying, we'll go and work harder. Okay, if I work harder and I get there, then Billy Jones, he's worked just as hard, but not got there. You can't not.
Well, Peter, how do I work harder? How do I work harder, Peter? I'm doing 6 12-hour night shifts this week because I don't get losers money when I go. I've got to travel up and down the country and play darts, and I'm not getting £1 for it. But it's reassuring to know, Peter, that now that I've got my tour card that I worked my ass off for years, the chairman of the organisation that's there to represent me simply thinks I shouldn't be there then. It's lovely, isn't it? Good stuff, Peter. Thank you very much again.
Yeah, the work harder. I didn't like the work harder line, because it's
like the problem is, Phil, and this is the thing. These are views that we hear people have all the time, and there's nothing particularly wrong with those views. I don't particularly agree with them, but I respect the right of anyone else to have those views. Like Peter Manley is entitled to those views. He just can't have that job and say those views out loud. This is that's where the problem is. Like, you can have a view that people shouldn't get first round losers money. You can have a view that, like, I just work harder, you don't deserve to be there. Like, you can have all of those views. And if you're Peter Manley, you can have those views as well. You just can't say them out loud and maintain your credibility as the chairman of the PDPA. That's the issue. You can have those views, you just can't say them out loud and still be credible, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one, and it has upset an awful lot of players. An awful lot.
64 people every Pro Tour, I would have thought. I'd be upset with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Who shouldn't have been there?
And I just look at it, knowing that so many players have got the hump. That next Pro Tour that he's at as the PDPA representative, there could be some interesting things said
by players and managers and various other stakeholders, let's call them. I agreed. Yeah, I think honesty can be a really good thing. And yeah, you don't want the politician's answer, and you don't want this. And yeah, you know, like, if that's Peter Manley's view, then fine, like, great. He's fully entitled to air those views and have them. I just don't think you can air those views publicly and be in that role. Those two things don't linked together. They are, in fact, very opposite.
No, 100%. Right, let's play the final clip from Peter because we'll give it some balance.
But the thing is, it brings problems. This year, as chairman of the PDPA and with Alan Warrener and all the other directors, we launched a financial wellbeing. We got involved with this company that helped Premier League footballers with finance and the stress and everything that evolves around it. It's not about them selling something to a player. We sent them a brochure out in February. We've had it's Red Star Education, and they've been to 2 events so far, and it's fantastic. They're out of the 128 players, 1 so far has taken up the actual interviews with them. It's just an hour free Zoom that we're paying for, just to give them some financial stability and to show them what they should be doing with the money, looking for the future, saving, investments, not selling them anything, telling them what they've got to do, but just answering any questions, like things like wills, power of attorney. They've got nothing in place, and these guys are worth an absolute fortune now. And you know, we just admire what they got. But then when you listen to a player that has earned 3 million and he's still got a mortgage, then we are concerned. We're worried. We're worried why he's still got a mortgage, because he bought another place and bigger place. If he hasn't, then he's got, you know, he's doing something wrong with his money. But to get these guys to actually have interviews, very, very hard.
Now, part of that I like. I like the fact that they have sourced some bits and are trying to help the players from that respect. But again, looking at it from that point of view, it's all right doing that side of it. But when you're not looking after the players from a playing point of view, that bit's a bit irrelevant for me.
Well, yeah, yes. I completely agree, but like if you go onto their website and you click financial advice, which desperately is the wrong title, because the PDPA shouldn't be providing financial advice, but Red Star Education sits at the bottom underneath accountancy and tax, pensions and investments, car and home insurance, travel insurance, all of which is a company selling something. So, like, he's plucked one thing out of a big list, and the problem with that is, like, it's incredibly woolly. It's incredibly woolly. You know, a 1 hour Zoom call with that isn't financial advice to look at someone's financial well-being. Great, yeah, well done. I find it hard to have too much of an opinion on it. Like, yeah, fine, good, but like, I don't. Right, first of all, I don't think it's anywhere near far enough. Like, I don't think it's anywhere near far enough. I think the entire thing is nowhere near independent enough. I think, like, when it comes to accountancy and tax, they recommend one. I don't like that. Like, I don't like, you know, this is the insurance provider that we say, this is the accountancy firm that we say, this is like, I'm not like, because I guarantee you the first thing, if they do it properly, that these education people should do is say, well, don't listen to where they send you. What you need to do is to go in and find what's best for you. Like, also, I think it's probably slightly detached, because, you know, it's all very well saying, like, we've got this company. They're also working with, so where they're working, it's not so much it's the League Football Association that they're working with. So it's like, it's that area of football. They're working with the League Football Association, but like, who are they talking to, and where is their experience? Is it talking to people who have earned £1 million and have got big investment portfolios? Or is it players that are not earning any money at all from Pro Tours and they're working 4 nights a week? Maybe it's everybody. Maybe they're able to offer advice to everyone? I don't.
I still think around half the tour work. Maybe a little bit less, but
Yeah, well, then how detached is it to wonder why people have still got a fucking mortgage? Some of these lads wouldn't get a mortgage. Never mind still have a mortgage that isn't paid off.
yeah.
They wouldn't get one in the first place.
Carl, this is a good point.
Just
I've
drags me
spoken to
negative
one of-
early, Peter, tonight. I'm normally so positive, especially until 9 o'clock.
I've spoken to one of them off, so I won't repeat obviously what was said. The others no. Also, I don't know because you never ever see the minutes from an AGM when people are re-elected and so on. So again,
Why would you? I mean, they're an association that everybody's paying to be a member of. Why would they give you the minutes?
Yeah, it's a bit cloak and dagger on that front. But I'm interested to see the next month. I think is very, very big for them because, like I say, if the players continue to be as disgruntled as they have been over the last week, then I genuinely think there could be questions asked around the PDPA leadership. I honestly do, because one of them was there's not enough beeps on a beep machine to cut out the words he was saying because it'd just be like Morse code. It'd be like the guy on the Titanic tapping the old Mayday call.
Yeah, and I don't know what their purpose is anymore. Like, I don't know what their purpose is. And I mean, like, they do the coaching thing's great. They've done some good things. But I think that's some very talented and passionate individuals within that organization who are driving like good things.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the headline? Like, what's the vision? Because like you go on and like you go on the website, like what does the PDPA provide? The number one point is we have a fully functioning website that can be accessed on a mobile device. But brilliant. Like that's point number one. We have a fully functioning website. I mean, we've set our sights like at a level, haven't we? You know, the
bar's not very high there, is it?
Like, this is what I mean. We're setting the bar. You know, it's yeah. It's like the stuff. A lot of it. It's like stuff you get for free everywhere else, isn't it? You know, it's not. I mean. They put a shuttle bus on to the airport, apparently. I didn't know that. I've learnt that now. They put a shuttle bus on to the airport.
Well, there you go.
I don't think we'll be welcome on it. The only way I'm getting on that bus is if I'm the driver.
Right, we will come back to this. Our two guests are in the waiting room, so we're going to do a quick flip.
Brilliant. We can uplift again. Like we can get happy again now.
Worry, there's still some points to be made. So we're going to bring our guests in. Let me do this. Let's flip this, and then we'll be back on the other side of this. And as if by magic, we are joined from the other side of the world by Ian Dargan and Greg Walsh. How are we, gentlemen? Good to be joining us.
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Very well.
Did you enjoy the little listen there? I see you listening along.
Yeah, having a good listen there. That was.
So look, thanks for joining us, guys. Founding members of the new Australian Darts Association caused quite a storm over the weekend when the news dropped. And we said in the intro that it's been busy on all sides of the globe. I suppose, first of all, how did this all come about and how long has this been in the making for?
Well, I guess Greg and I have been around the playing circuit in Australia for many, many years. Obviously not at the right level as players. And yeah, always been very much about the playing group and trying to get the best for the players. So I guess we got together and yeah, it's a exciting time for Australia and new opportunities.
I suppose looking at it, that we've been quite critical of darts, domestic darts in Australia on the channel, because we see players not playing in certain events and players going to this one and not that one, and vice versa, and so on. So is this part of the reason why you've done it? Is this why change was needed?
Look, I think, yeah, that's basically why it's all come up over the past, well, many years. The player group's very fragmented between associations and, yeah, all involved. I think that we were a part of that as well. The moaning and the complaints and stuff like that, and we sort of stepped away, and we've been speaking a lot for the last amount of years, and we just sort of thought, you know what, let's actually fix this. We're not competitive dart players, so let's put our heads together and try and make something better for all these guys that are either close. Oh, they are sort of your friend group too, because there's 100 odd people that you see once a month, if not twice a month. So you sort of you want what's best for them and just the game in general, I suppose.
I'm not asking you to point fingers or anything, because I wouldn't put you in that situation. But over the last 5 years, why has darts down under become so fragmented? Because as I say, it's not just one organisation. This is multiples that we see certain players slagging off one, we see other players slagging off another on social media, and so on. So just across the board, how have we got to this point where it has been so fragmented?
I suppose that's difficult to answer, Phil. Look, I think part of the tour in Australia has been we haven't been able to reach out, and we haven't been traveling to all the different states around Australia, which meant you miss out on that inclusivity. You lose players from different states, and you end up in a scenario where you don't have all the best players in the room at the same time. And as we know from watching, obviously, the setup with the PDC and different tours around the world, the best way to get players to the next level is have them competing against each other all the time. And that's something that's been missing. So I think from that point, I think that's a good starting point for us, and a good target.
So just in terms of you mentioned the sort of, the geographical fragmentation there, not just the sort of political one. As somebody that lives in a very small country that hears dart players grumbling about having to travel to events, how do you unite that geographically? Like, what's the strategy to actually get everybody playing each other in the same room?
Well, I think, like Dark said, it's also the big part is making sure the tour's running around to give players in the other side of Australia, which is 5-hour flight, especially somewhere like Perth, where majority of the time, a lot of the tournaments are in the East Coast, and for you to jump onto a plane and spend $600 each way, commit to those sort of things where they have to do that every single event, which is once a month, like it's a gigantic amount of money. I understand if it's only one event in their home state, they then don't have to travel for at least one event. It at least helps them, and then there might be one in a bit more north of the east and then one down south. It's not just all in one hub. And I think that's been a major fragmenting part in the whole situation of it all. And obviously just making sure that everyone gets that opportunity, and just the other thing is just trying to get in more sponsors to get better prize money, so the incentives there to travel, so they know they can get their money back, or they can possibly get themselves sponsors, get the bigger events like this Premier League, and possibly get logos and potential sponsors on to help them travel and commit to a tour.
No, I like that. And you touched on the Premier League as well. You must be excited of the prospect of 8 nights in big venues showcasing darts down under.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity for the players that will qualify. Of course, it will give them vital stage experience for those players that will, eventually qualify to go across to play in the Worlds and what have you. That stage experience will stand to them, we believe. So an amazing opportunity in the coming months.
On the Premier League, obviously, we know about it over here. Is it on TV down under and so on. I'm guessing we'll be able to watch it on PDC TV. But is it going to be on a dedicated channel so people can watch it and so on?
I'm not sure if anything's been confirmed as of yet.
No,
That I've seen, no. Look, I think I'll assume PDC TV. I think a lot of it's still all just coming out. They've sort of locked in all the venues, so players know where they're going and what opportunities they'll have just to help out to actually travel, because these events are every single week for 8 weeks. Obviously, it's like a double condensed into 2 months. So there's a lot of time off. Well, obviously, with the 5-hour flights, people have got to have days off work and all this stuff, exactly like you guys were talking about, to commit to this sort of big thing. So obviously, it's got to be some type of financial covering or incentive that way too. But as for coverage, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to assume it is, because they seem to always get that sort of stuff on Fox over here and stuff. So it's heavily followed. So
obviously we know Simon is the headline. He's coming back home to do the 8 weeks. How are is it known yet who the other players are going to be, or how is that selection process going to be done?
Yeah, well, we ADA we're kicking off a season tour on the 27th of June in Brisbane. We'll be running 12 events, and the top 2 off the order of merit will get positions in the Premier League. And we're pleased to say that players are registering already. And great to see some faces come back who haven't played for a couple of years. So it's really exciting.
You mentioned that, obviously, players that you haven't seen for a couple of years and coming back and having that incentive. First of all, that coming onto that tour has a reward there. They can go and get a spot at the Premier League. The Australia as an affiliate tour. The Australian tour used to be a bit of a flagship. We would look at it as the affiliate tour that was sort of going to produce the next big batch of dart players. And in recent years, we've been looking elsewhere, in all honesty. We've been looking at the CDC in North America and over to the Asian tour. Like, the players that you are seeing and that you are used to playing with on tour there, do you think that Australia can re-establish itself as that flagship affiliate tour?
Well, I think the easy answer is, well, of course, we think yes. That's our objective, to try and get all these guys back in the same room and playing for those big opportunities overseas, or even World Series here. Like, you only got to look at Damo when he won the first World Series here in Brisbane, and what it's done for his darting career, a little bit from just a casual travel around Australia player to committing, and look at him now. He's number 8 in the world or something. So, but and I think getting all those guys back out on a new, fresh look is a great opportunity for us to try and build it back to where it was. Like Doug said, we obviously, we're open to New Zealand players as well. So like the likes of Ben Robb and like obviously in Australia, Raymond Smith, a few of these guys, like getting them all back in the same room, what we used to have back when Damo was even here, is only going to be a plus to make them all play better, because they're going to be meeting better players all the time. Get them all back in that same room and just lift the quality of the darts, and then hopefully get back to where we were.
Well, obviously, the name that you mentioned there is the name that's always on everyone's lips, is Raymond Smith, because we've seen him do incredible things at Alexandra Palace, going winning at the Super Series and so on. And the fact that we haven't seen him for a few years, and he's almost become this enigma that it's like, where's Raymond Smith? So that can only be great for you guys, the fact that we're talking about someone over here that's not played a lot.
Yeah, very, very exciting for us. And Greg can probably speak more to it. He's lives very close to Ray and speaks to him on a regular basis. But we can definitely say Ray's very excited about this tour, and it's we look forward to seeing what Ray can do, and all the other top Australian players as well, just to try and get us back to the level we need to be at, so we are competitive internationally as well.
I suppose, looking at it from a player's point of view, we've obviously got you guys, the Australian Darts Association, we've got the DPA, we've got the ADC running, we've got the WDF. There's now a lot of organisations in one country, so to speak. Could this be slightly confusing times for players as well? And how do you kind of get your message out to them so there's no confusion?
Look, I think it's just added opportunity, I suppose, where players can actually choose and not be forced to do one thing or the other. Like we try and we'll work with any of those affiliations. Obviously, we're quite close with the WDF, which is Darts Australia side. We talk to them regularly, and a lot of those players are committed to those tours, like Raymond and stuff now. So we just want to make sure that all calendars never overlap, make sure all this stuff, so players have opportunities not to have to choose between events. You don't want players having to do that. You want to give them opportunity to play any of them. But yeah, obviously you're right. There is only a certain amount of weekends we can do these things because there are fixed dates for other things. You can't just expect everyone to travel every time. But yeah, look, we just make sure we get all the calendars and get together with those people, whether it's the start of the year but we were obviously in a good position. We had their calendars from the beginning. So that's been fun, making sure that we don't overlap with anything major.
Yeah, no,
that was going to be my next question, just to ask whether or not there was any covenants on what players, could and couldn't play in, and if they were playing in the, if they ended up becoming a Premier League player in the Australian Premier League, whether or not they would be restricted from playing in other things. But it sounds like the approach is the more darts, the better for all the players. And that, I think, is a really great approach. We've spent a lot of time talking about organisations that don't and haven't took that view. So I think it's a really good one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that thing taking out of that with that disgruntled employee feel to them, where they don't try and overlap on purpose or any of that sort of stuff, where they're like, oh, well, you'll choose me or you'll choose me. Like, well, if you just leave it in the player's choice, it should be their choice anyway, and never be the organiser's choice. So I suppose we're coming from that player side, like Doug said, where, well, I'll say attenders, not really players. We're attending, donate. But yeah, no, I think it's got to come to the players. We've always said that from day one, and it still will always be that, where the players get the option, not the organisers. It'll be just give them the best opportunity that we can, and make sure that we just continue to do that.
I suppose the other one from this point of view is, it's like, this reminds, like when the PDC and the BDO back in the day and so on. Is there enough room for everyone to coexist, or long term is something going to have to give, or are you confident there is enough room in calendars and so on for everyone to coexist?
Yeah, another tricky question, Phil. Look, to be honest, it is pretty congested at the moment, but I guess we will have a full season next year. So, as Greg said, we will work with the other organisations, ensure we don't clash, and let's see what the future brings.
No, I like that. And obviously, I know we touched on earlier the World Series coming back to Australia and New Zealand. Have you guys got any involvement in that this year, or is it just purely spectating?
Well, I've been very fortunate to work in the back end, behind the scenes with the logistics team, the PDC logistics team, since World Series came to Australia and New Zealand. So quite a few years now, and really looking forward to being teaming up with those guys again in August. Not very far away now.
Well, on that logistics side of it, I know you can't answer for the PDC, but from a fan's point of view, both here and in Australia, is that second event close to coming back, or is the three tournaments in Oceanic gone for good, do you feel?
Hard to say. Look, I guess we would love to have it back, because it's more exposure for the Oceanic region. I guess that decision will lie with the PDC, and we'll see what the future holds.
Well, obviously on the PDC, it's been announced that you're going to be sending one player to the World Championships. How did this all come about, this tie-up with the PDC? Because it's an unusual step for them to give spots to two different affiliate tours, so to speak. So how did your tie-up and that come about?
Look, I guess we've always had a bit of a connection with the PDC, and I guess they realised that there was need for change, I suppose, and connection was formed, and it went from there, and it's a privilege to have a partnership with the PDC and the opportunity to improve the state of darts in Australia, I guess.
You touched on 2026 already. What is the blueprint almost for 26? How many weekends do you want to run and so on, or can you run and so on to give these guys a full tour?
I think, our plan so far, what we'd like to schedule is making sure that we've got at least 5 to 6 events, which hopefully is around one a month, to give people time to not putting them close together, so they have time to budget for the next one. Because obviously, like you guys were getting on, they're still full-time workers. They're not dart players in here. Yeah, and just it's more about just it actually being a tour and giving players the opportunity to have their home state, so they're not flying 5 hours at least once, like not doubling it up in certain states where it suits. Just making sure that it's fair on all the players, I suppose. So there's if you do live further away, obviously your flight's going to be a little bit more expensive than the others, which does add up, and we do feel for those people. So if we can try and make sure that they're getting a chance to stay home for one time and just stay in their own house and run down and play in the local comp that we have there. So I think just actually forming that tour and a nice fair spread out one, nice and close to airports, so guys aren't jumping out of planes and then trying to get a hire car for 3 hours to drive, which is you nearly get across the UK, obviously.
Yeah.
But they might land somewhere and then have to drive another 3 hours, and everyone's carpooling. So if we can try and keep it really close to major airports and all that sort of stuff and streamline it and listen to the players, I suppose, will be the main thing.
The interesting bit as well that you touched on about, obviously, New Zealand, the New Zealand guys can come over and play as well. And look, I'm not going to ask you to slate anyone, but I'm going to. When that decision was made that Australian players couldn't go to New Zealand and the New Zealand players couldn't come to Australia, that felt like a massive own goal because it weakened both pools. Now, you putting them all into one again, that must strengthen the overall depth of what you're trying to do as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's a big part of the idea. We did see, I guess, a massive drop off when we got separated, because if you bring a pool of players from New Zealand, the top bracket of their players, and putting them in the same room with our top players, that the outcome at the end is you're going to see quality and you're going to see better style, better level of competition, and again, that's what ends up on the world stage. What we show to the world when we showcase our events here and overseas.
Well, on that showcasing point, now, are we going to be able to see your stuff? Because obviously, you know that we're geeks and we stay up and watch the CDC stuff and whatever. Will we be able to see is there going to be stream boards from your events and so on? Is that the plan going forward, hopefully?
That is the plan. We plan to start off slow, but we do want to stream sort of definitely from sort of quarterfinals at least to those big games. Once we get deep into the tournaments, at least get that opportunity up and running for players to get a little bit of coverage as well. So guys like yourselves can watch if you wanted to and stuff like that. But yeah, we're sort of just launched and getting that. We've got the right people with DSL and that in line. So we have had obviously chats with them about the possibility of that. So that will definitely be on the cards. Yes.
Marcus in the chat room has asked, and say you guys know this better from us. Who's the next big star to come from down under? Because we've had had Simon, Damo, another one that we'll talk about in a minute. Who's the next big star to come through? Do you feel who's set to do something?
I'll leave that to Darts.
Thanks for that, Greg. Look, to be honest, it remains to be seen. There is lots of young, talented kids, and again, we're hoping to unearth more as we travel out to other states and be more inclusive, which is, as we touched on earlier, was something that has been missing. So, who knows what we'll find along this journey. And it's really an exciting time.
What's the Luke Littler effect been like in Australia? Is it been as big as what it is here?
Well, you got to say yes. You only got to go into your local clubs here that we have and see that there's a lot more younger kids around. There is just the talk between, like, I've got a son who's 14, and obviously he's not driven into darts like most family darties, but and he's attached to it too. Like he loves it all, and just the kids can't believe, like, they see what he's doing now. Or it's crazy. It has had a massive effect over here, in my opinion, in Queensland where I am. You can see the juniors, and let alone the shirts popping up everywhere and things coming into dart halls, and it's crazy.
And I said another one to talk about. Obviously, you can see the chat room. As soon as we mention Australian darts, there is just one man.
There's hundreds of comments.
One
They
man,
all want the same
one
question
name
out.
on everyone's lips, and no one's seen him for time and gone by. And if we never see Mr. Cadby play another game of darts again, from your guys' point of view, was he your Luke Littler, and would it be a massive miscarriage of justice almost that we haven't been able to enjoy what could have been, like, arguably the biggest waste of talent the sport will ever see?
Yeah, it's very, very, very fair comment. Look, a bit like yourselves, we really haven't seen much of Keds for the last couple of years, but I can speak for, and I worked pretty closely with him during that time when he was breaking through, I guess. His impact was amazing, and at the time he was definitely seen as the next big thing from Australia. I think that's fair to say. I mean, being at the World Series when he beat Phil, and the profile of the game lifted here almost instantly, and making the UK Open final, and he had that stage persona. He had the explosivity. He had a bit of controversy as well around him, and I guess that's people like to see that too, But yeah, an immense talent, and I would agree. If we don't see him grace the stage again, it probably is a big loss.
Look, it's no secret. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's no secret why we haven't seen him. Certainly from a domestic point of view, is there any way back once he's sorted out his issues, do you think, or do you believe that we won't see him again? Because the general feeling over here is, I can say it is, we don't think we'll ever see him again.
I don't know. Look, I think there's obviously always a possibility. I think he did obviously fall off the scene for a little bit, and then he just come back and appeared in Germany and breezed through and got a tour card like he said he was going to do, like, which is crazy to think that, and it just proves exactly what you said. It's such just a talented human that we wish any dart player wish they could have the ability that Cad's had, like Corey had, and yeah, it's such a shame. But I suppose you can never say never.
Yeah, no, again, I know it's not an easy subject. Got a couple of questions for you as well. Like, Greatest Showman asks, how easy is it to get equipment in Australia? Because in the UK at times, but we struggle to get equipment and so on due to shipping problems and just general demand. What's it like? What's it like down under to try and get stuff?
You want to go, Darts?
You have a go, Greg.
Look, I think it's not too bad. We just obviously realise it's going to take a few days. There are really good dart stores around too. They're just definitely not as thick as when we've been over to the UK and seen how frequently you can find one that's only around the corner and things like that, a lot more. But it's more in our dart clubs, because our dart clubs are they're pretty kitted up with stuff. So just when people break stuff, but most people it's online, they order it and stuff. But yeah, they're good. That, like in Queensland alone, there's good places down the Gold Coast like Bullseye and yeah, online options as well. And I know that in Victoria where Dargs is, there's Dart World and all types of other suppliers around. But yeah, it's definitely not. It's a lot trickier than you guys have.
Are we going to see you two coming over for the Worlds?
That's certainly a goal. Yeah, yeah, let's see who our qualifier is, and then we'll yeah, I believe we should be there. It would be a privilege to be there again, and I guess to have a player now representing our organisation would be a very proud thing.
Before we let you go, is there anything that you guys would like to add about what you're trying to do and achieve?
I'll probably just more so, it's more of a thank you to the team behind in the background that aren't and doing these interviews or getting their faces out as much, because we got a great team so far. So yeah, they're all working together so well. It's been hectic the last 72 to 3 days, I suppose, 3-4 days. So yeah, probably to thank all them. So yeah, that's mainly what I would say. Dargs, what do you think? Yeah,
look, just for me, it's a massive massive thank you to the PDC for the opportunity, for putting their faith in us. It's a privilege, and we will grab it with both hands.
Yep. Well, gents, thank you very much for coming on. Like I say, it caused a whirlwind when it dropped, and always welcome to come back. Any news that you want to drop in the UK, feel free to send it to us, and we'll help you out as much as we can, because it's just great to see darts flourishing all around the world.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having us on and the opportunity to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It was our pleasure. It was great to have you on, and thank you very much, guys. And we're going to enjoy the ride the same as you guys are.
Yep.
Thanks, lads.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
So what? I blooming love that.
Isn't it nice to talk about something positive? I love that. I love it. Yeah, and I tell you what, they've done a cracking job, because I have only realised in the last few minutes how bloody early it is in Australia. Like, the poor lads have dragged themselves out of bed very early for that. So yeah,
I love that, and like I say, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good watch, I think. And like I say, it's been nice to have Australia back and us talking about it on a good point of view, but it just makes me laugh that every time we mention Australian darts, it's just one name in that chat
room. Just keeps on coming. No, I think it's dead positive. You know, we spoke. It was a while ago, wasn't it? Maybe 6 months, maybe longer ago, where we had a show where we were talking a lot about the affiliate tours, and we talked about Australia. And I remember saying, like, what it desperately looked like from someone way outside, just, you know, sat over here looking at it. It just felt like it needed somebody or group or person or something to be able to just like have a really clear plan and find a way. And we talked about, you know, that the biggest challenge would be to try and stitch that back together and unify it, and having, because you know, the talent is undeniable. Like, even now, you know, you look at the play, you know, the WDF ranked players that are there, and you look down, you think, like, these are talented players. And when you can then recombine that with the same list of players from New Zealand as well, like, there is only one thing that happens when you get loads of dart players playing each other at a really good level, often, is that the group, if you like, that as en masse gets better, and it moves up, and it becomes the quality. And we've seen it in the last 18 months a lot with the CDC, is that because then what happens is the quality of darts becomes a lot more watchable, and unsurprisingly, more people want to watch it. And when they do, then there's all sorts of good things happen. There's more money comes in, there's more sponsors come in, and people get more opportunities. So yeah, I think it's really, really positive, like, great for the region. But then, no, you know, not just for the region, but great for darts in general. You know, we're going to get another qualifier to the Worlds. So we're going to get maybe a name that we haven't seen before. We might see somebody blast their way through a tour to earn a spot at the Worlds, and that's, like, realistically, that's what we want. You know, that's what we want. We want qualifiers for the World Championships to have been bashing people up on tours and have got used to winning and aren't frightened of playing other players. And yeah, I think it's really great stuff.
And it's never going to happen, but I can dream of Cadby against Littler on a big stage in front of 10,000 people. It's never going to happen, but I can dream.
You can dream. Somebody must be able to AI that up somehow. Somebody cleverer than me. Let me get back on Chat GPT. We'll see if we can AI something up. The Phil Bowers dream poster. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But I mean, yeah, I mean, and it's. I almost feel sometimes it's a bit of a shame for just generally for darts in that region that it gets dragged. You know, like you saw today, you know, we had really, really positive, brilliant things going on, but the chat room goes, Cadby. And you think, well, but that is a bit of a moment in time, I think. You know, it will only last so long, because what you have to remember as well is darts has got more new viewers than ever before. There are so many more people watching darts. And you know, the lads talked about younger people. We talked earlier about that younger crowd at the O2. Like, you ask a lot of those players who Corey Cadby is, and I'm afraid to say a lot of them, they just ain't going to know. And
could you imagine this new younger audience buying into the Cadby effect?
Oh, 100%.
This big, bold, brazen Aussie, chest up.
You need Corey Cadby to be. You need him as the heel to Luke Littler's face, don't you? You need a heel to the face, and that's what I think he's got. That's what I think he could bring to the table. But yeah, and don't get me wrong, if we saw him come back again, you know, I mean, Christ, he made that Q school for us. Like, what a few days on the stream we had there while he was at Q school. But yeah, I think the focus needs to continue to be on players who are playing darts and
but ones that aren't physically able to.
Well, he might be. I just don't know what he's fucking chucking at the minute. Airplanes, I think, is about all he's allowed.
Right, back to it. Right, where were we before we were? Oh, I know where we were. We were talking about
where we were.
At this point, should the players almost demand a player's representative on that board?
Or
will it not make a difference?
I don't think it makes fuck all difference. I really don't, and that's no disrespect to the players, but I just think, you know, again, I've
not
seen
even
it.
If it's Vincent.
I mean, that might make a difference, yeah. But the problem is, there's only so many times you can fucking replace the table that he's smashed, that he's thrown across the room. Yeah, and I think, you know, like, would it make a fundamental difference? No, like, I don't think it would, because what you can't do, and I've been. I was going to say lucky, fucking far from lucky. You know, I've been involved on various different committees and councils and various other things. And one person in those situations, I'm afraid, really struggles to make an impact. You know, we know that there are good works being done by the PDPA, and there are people who are trying very hard, but I can understand. And I don't know, but I assume sometimes that people can just be pissing into the wind, because the overarching aims and strategy of the organisation are, in my opinion, blurred, very far away from what it should be if you are collecting 2% from players. Like, if you are going to collect their money, you have to represent them. And you can't have that be proportionate. You can't represent players better and more, and the interests of those players more, because those 2% are higher. That is a very, very basic matter of integrity. Like, you cannot wander around claiming any sort of integrity if you say that this is what you do and this is what you are. But if you pay more, we will do more for you and forget the others.
Yeah, 100%.
I cannot see how. Like, I've been involved in situations where people in senior positions have done foolish things, like said things they shouldn't have done, done things they shouldn't have done. And everyone around sort of looks at each other and goes, oh, he's going to have to go, isn't he? Like, regardless of all the good, regardless of anything, you just, that, it's no longer sustainable. He doesn't have the credibility. He can't stand. If you are the chairman of an organisation, you have to be able to look the people it represents in the eyes and not just 16 of them.
And that's the issue.
And he may reflect on it and think, I've dropped a proper clanger there. I've said exactly what I thought. I still think it. I really believe it. But I have made my position untenable. Because how can I go and look all these people in the face and tell them that I represent their best interests and collect their money off them?
Yeah, I know, 100%. It's like I say, I would like to be in the room the next time some of these players see the representative, and even
but in any other place in the world, Phil, that never happens because it go before. Like you wouldn't, like in any other organisation, everybody sits around the table and says, "That's gone a bit wrong. That's gone a little bit wrong, I'm afraid, and that it's not going to work." Like it just is what it is. These things happen. People make mistakes. I think he's made a mistake, and I think he has spoken as Peter Manley, which is fine, but he needs to understand that when everybody watches that and hears him speak, they don't hear Peter Manley speaking. They hear the chairman of the PDPA speaking. That's the problem, is that you can't not be that thing to everybody else. Like, you could have interviewed 20 people that day, Phil, and they could have all said that. And it's just not a story. No one's interested. Nobody cares. They're fully entitled to their view. Loads of people have that view. It's not a view that is different to many, many other people. We get people in the chat room all the time saying the same things that Peter Manley said. The headline is, he spoke as Peter Manley. Everybody else saw the chairman of the PDPA. That's the big difference.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. It really is. Like I say, it's upset a lot of people.
I hope it goes to a Misfits boxing match. That's where I hope it goes to, because I like to manifest chaos.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chile asked, who would we pick as the new chairman? That's difficult for us to say because we're not players.
Yeah, again, I think not my circus, not my monkeys. Like, none of my business. I think there's a number of people that would do a very, very good job of it. A number of people would do a good job of it, but I haven't got it's not for me to say. Well, I mean, the other thing is, this is what you have to remember as well, is it's also, and this is the challenge with things like that, is you won't always get the best. I'll be political. You won't always get the best person for the job. You will get the best person who's willing to do the job. That's the difficulty.
I agree.
You won't get. We could list 20 people who we think would be great at doing that job, and every one of those 20 could say, "Not on, absolutely no chance do I want anything to do with that at all." And that's the challenge. Is, I'm not saying you get the best of a bad bunch, because that's far from it. But what you get is you get the best person willing to do the job. And also, there are lots and lots of other opportunities in darts, and sometimes those interests could clash. So you might not be able to have certain people for certain reasons because they have certain other interests. Also, like, there are certain people that just want to fucking retire and not deal with hassle anymore. Like, so yeah, that is the challenge, because you don't get the best person for the job, you don't get the cleverest person, you don't get the best operator, you don't get the most strategic person. I remain, if I'm honest, unconvinced that the person leading that organization needs to be a retired dart player, for the same as I don't think that the chairman of the FA needs to be a retired footballer, and I don't think the chairman of the PGA needs to be a retired golf player. I don't think that is a mandatory requirement, or it shouldn't be. It should be the person that can best lead that organisation and surround themselves with the experts that they need, whether that be Alan Warrener, whether that be Duzza, whether it be Jamie Caven, whether that knowledge, that all of that knowledge, and then use that knowledge to implement a strategy. Like, there is this strange thing, and darts often can be a mad world where it's like an alien concept that, well, why would it be a retired dart player to be the chairman of the PDPA? Well, yes, there's loads of arguments why, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. You know, it doesn't have to be. Like, there are people who run all sorts of organizations that, you know, couldn't do the actual thing that that organization produces. They just run it, but they are able to implement the strategies and the vision and lead it properly and put the right talented people around them in order to deliver something.
Well, like Barry did when he took the PDC over, got in industry experts into roles.
Well, I mean, we talk a lot about the things that Matt Porter has done in terms of developing the PDC and implementing a strategy and growing things and turning a profit and meeting all the goals of his organization and his investors. We don't talk a great deal about the glittering professional darts career of Matt Porter, do we? Which I would suggest is proof that to lead an organization that operates within the sport of darts doesn't require you to have been a particularly talented dart player.
No, 100%.
And I think that might be, for me, like, if you want my view on who it should be, we probably don't know the name of the person, because I don't think they're a retired dart player. I think they're a person that can understand what that organization is, needs to be, should be, surround themselves with experts and deliver it. That's what I think it needs. It probably just isn't, you know, whoever's turn it is on the circuit of retired players.
Yeah. Right. We're going to go nip across the pond to the other side. First of all, I know we're not at New York yet. Kieran, no, we don't know. I haven't been told the actual media days yet, but I imagine it'll be Wednesday and Thursday. But also there was some huge news dropped for North American darts in terms of viewing the product. That the PDC majors are now available on Peacock in North America, which is huge. The eyes that will put on darts in North America is massive.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, Peacock, for those who, you know, who haven't been or who aren't in North America, haven't been to North America, it's genuinely difficult to find a sort of. I suppose the closest you can get is Sky. So, you know, Peacock, it's part of NBC and Universal. So if you think of NBC, and they're fucking massive, and Universal are massive, and they came together, and Peacock is a part of that. They, you know, when you look through the content, you know, they are the people that in America show like Monday Night Football, and I don't mean, you know, Carragher and Neville, like that is the NFL that they're showing.
Yeah.
They show the English Premier League in North America. You know, when big events, things like the Olympics and things like that are broadcast in the US, that's where they're broadcast. Like it is monstrous, and huge for the PDC. Like for and I'm not suggesting in any way that this would go the same route, but again, for context in terms of growth, the WWE, and again, everyone will go, nah, fucking fake wrestling. Like, but in terms of viewing figures and accessibility and things like that, the WWE went to Peacock, and it was from the growth that they received with Peacock that they got picked up, and Netflix did that massive multi-billion-dollar deal for them, and it was the lift in figures and viewing that being present on Peacock, and I believe they still are on Peacock in America for certain things, and so that, you know, the fact that we're going to see darts or people in that region are going to see darts on that platform, like, is absolutely huge. I don't think we know yet, do we, Phil, exactly what and which events are going to be shown? Obviously, we got the Premier League finals night. I don't think we know yet what else is going to be there, do we?
Because the news dropped on the Thursday. I haven't had time to read and digest everything, but I just know it is a huge play and a huge move for it to happen, because it is just massive.
And this is the thing: is if you get 2%'s been a hot topic lately.
Yeah. All the big tournaments are on Peacock.
See, like, if you know, and if you get 2% of their viewing figures, you know, 2% of their audience, then like that's monstrous, because that is huge. And then you compare that with it dwarfs, you know, the figures that Sky Sports gets and DAZN and the European sports broadcasters. They are huge.
Yeah, it's a monumental play, and again, kudos to the PDC for getting it there as well. Nathan Aspinall put Premier League heartbreak behind him to win his second Euro Tour of the year, and he gave one of the best interviews ever, dropping an F-bomb and then almost dropping an F-bomb to apologise for dropping the F-bomb.
He got himself in a right muddle, didn't he?
It was one of the best post-match winners speeches I've ever heard. It was superb.
Love it.
But Nathan Aspinall was incredible. The guts he showed, it wasn't always pretty, but there is no one gutsier than Nathan Aspinall on an hockey.
No, I thought he did very, very well throughout the whole of the tournament. Like, he was really impressive. He played great darts. From the very, you know, from the Bradley Brooks game onwards, you know, he did not have a straightforward route at all. You know, he had to really work for it. You know, Petrescu is hard work, especially on those Euro tours and average well. Dobie, you know, he managed to edge him out in a deciding leg. Nyman's never easy. You know, Damon Heta, of course, isn't easy, especially the way he was playing at the weekend. Like, he hasn't had a kind draw at all, Nathan. Right, he's really dug in, played very, very well. I thought the whole weekend was strong, just again in terms of being a good watch. You know, I thought we saw some, you know, really, really impressive stuff. You know, we saw a win for Peter Wright, which was good. We saw Nyman go on a bit of a run, which some would love to see. Dobie hit a big 110. The ferret was ferreting. It was a really good weekend, I thought.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed the Euro Tour. It was good. Yes, the crowd were a bit of a nightmare at times, but overall, I thought,
especially like Dobie going for that fucking 4-4.
But there was some rogue darts though. I remember there was a Matt Campbell dart at double 12 that almost hit treble 9.
That was magnificent. Matt Campbell had a really good
I
weekend.
was going to say he had an incredible. He was a late call up for Gerwin Price anyway, and then he's done himself the world of good in terms of every race going this weekend.
Yeah, he really did. He played good darts whilst doing it as well. I thought he did. I thought he did really well. Matt does need to put more money on his ranking. He does need to keep pushing and climbing up the order of merit. But yeah, that will come in very handy because he now sits. He's in the green in the tour card race. He's moved up to like 60th spot on the tour card race now. So he's created a little bit of a cushion between him and the drop zone. Really impressive.
He's in the world, the Euros at the moment. So again, he's going to get opportunities to add to that. I've changed my mind on something after this weekend as well.
Is it the match play qualification?
Yeah. Michael Smith had an opportunity to cut the gap, and he ran into an inspired 106 average from Andreas Harrison. And I think that defeat is possibly the nail in the coffin for the 2025 Betfred World Match Play for Michael Smith.
I tend to agree. I think it's a big gap. He's $7,000 behind, but again, that's $7,000 that he's got to make more than everybody else is making. It's not just him going out and winning $7,000. You look at the way that he's playing, and you look at the tournaments that are left. I think he would surprise me if he banked $7,000.
Yeah,
then he needs everybody else to not pick up anything. And when you look at the players that are there, and he's going to have to jump Edhouse, Ratajski, Barney's going to keep being on the Euro Tour, Ryan Joyce as well. I don't think he makes that money up, I'm afraid.
No, I up until this weekend, I was still confident, because if he'd have won that game, I think he cuts it to about $3,000.
Yeah,
that's doable. But the fact the gap is still as big as it is,
the problem as well is there is only one Euro Tour left.
I don't think there's a Euro. Apparently that last Euro Tour doesn't count. I think it's just 5 Pro Tours.
Oh, well, then he's bollocks then. On the calendar there, I thought we still had that Euro Tour on the weekend of the 13th.
No, apparently it looks like it's been changed around.
Oh, well, in that case, then he's bollocks.
Yeah. No, I'm sadly I'm with you on that. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a massive shame. It's no secret how much I love the match play. You love the match play as well. We love the match play here at Online Darts. And I think a match play without Michael Smith is a worse match play than a match play with Michael Smith. It will be a shame to not have him there.
Yeah, I agree. Are we presuming MVG plays Blackpool? Yes. He won't miss Blackpool.
That's good to know.
Well, I don't. By the way, I'm not saying I know that. My head says Michael Van Gerwen does not miss Blackpool. Also, today, the draw for the Nordic Darts Masters comes out. Late change. Chris Dobie in for Michael Van Gerwen. The first round ties are as follows. Stephen
I'd have made that change regardless of what was going on.
What's that?
I'd have made that change regardless.
Stephen Bunting plays Oscar Lukasiak. Johnny Clayton plays Darius Labanauskas. Luke Littler takes on Victor Tingstrom. Nathan Aspinall places Benjamin Drew Royce. Rob Cross, Andreas Harrison, Chris Dobie, Jeffrey de Graaf, Gerwin Price, Cord Decker, and Luke Humphries takes on Madars Razma. Now, there's a few interesting scenarios here. I'm not sure what kind of form Gerwin Price is going to be in, considering early Friday morning he flew to Orlando, and as we currently speak, he's still there.
Oh. So's my mum and dad.
He done Universal Studios today. Just if anyone's interested.
That's exactly where my mum and dad are.
Gezi and family were there today.
Oh, good news! I might have got a selfie. I think we could see some proper surprises in that bottom half of the bracket. I think the two Swedish players in the bottom half of the bracket are dangerous.
Yeah,
Proper dangerous. I think Andreas Harrison playing Rob Cross in the opening game will consider himself to have a relatively fortunate draw, and will look at that and think, I could beat him. And I think he'll look at playing the winner of Chris Dobie and Jeffrey de Graaf and think, I've got a chance here as well. We could see an all-Swedish second round match there. We really could.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Whether or not you class Jeffrey as Swedish is another matter, but they'll have Swedish flags next to them.
That's who he's representing. So we'll go with it. We'll go with it, Dan. It's fine. So yeah, interested to see how this goes. And again, I know we've touched about it a lot, but I still want to see some variety in these World Series events. As a fan, I understand that the fans in Copenhagen want the big players. I get that. I understand both sides of it, but just a little bit of variety. We've seen 7 of this lot for 17 weeks in a row.
Yeah. And as much as I love seeing him playing at his best, you couldn't say that we are giving the rising stars and opportunities in getting some experience on the big stage in turning to Johnny Clayton. I love Johnny Clayton. I think he's amazing. I love watching him play darts. But, when we've talked about that, we're using the World Series as an opportunity for the likes of Damon Hetters and, Ross Smiths, people who we see as future Premier League players, and exposing them to that big stage, playing that arena, selecting Johnny Clayton to fill in isn't that, is it?
No, and look, you could send 4 of the Premier League boys to this one, 4 of them to Poland, 4 of them, and vary it around. And there's 4 spots that you can grow and nurture these other talents through the door.
Yeah, and like I say, I think even if you've got the one chance, I think I never thought I'd end up in a situation where I would suggest that Johnny Clayton wasn't the best person to pick to play in something, because I think normally I would say yes, but it's just I think there's such an opportunity in that situation to look at players who are future or could be future Premier League players and expose them to that environment.
Yeah,
give them that opportunity.
Your Josh Rocks, your Wessel Nymans. And
it gives them an opportunity to earn an extra few quid, and I think, it doesn't take long to count quickly and think, well, you've got your Ross Smith, your Damon Hetter, Wessel Nyman, Jan van Veen, Josh Rock. There is a list. It's not 1 or 2. There's loads of them that you could go with. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. But yeah, Friday and Saturday, ITV, the Nordic Darts Masters. What else have we missed in a week in darts? Because there's been loads. There has been quite a lot. I don't think we've missed too much, have we? We've done the Premier League. We've done the Nordic Darts Masters. We've done the Euro Tour. We've talked a lot about Peter Manley. I never thought I'd spend this much time talking about Peter Manley, Is this the way to Amarillo? Fucking, it's the way to the fucking door. That's where it is. Oh, yes. John O'Shea. Oh, yes. Oh, the Joker. Yes, that's what. How did we not get that before? I've never, ever been so pleased to see a man win than I was on Saturday when John O'Shea won down in Portsmouth at the Super Series. Because of everything he's been through, getting himself healthy, the hard work he's put in, and at spells, he looked $1 million. No, he really did. the throw, the throw always looks good. I think no matter what's going on, that throw always looks beautiful. But I just thought it looked, he looked smart. John's a good dear friend of the show and was on with us the other week, and I think you can't. He's a man who you cannot help but root for. Like, you want him, if you spend any time with him at all, you want him to win every match. Yeah, you want him to. Like, I went to Ali Pally when John played. I took Billy down to for that session to watch John at the Palace, and it was really tough to see him not win that one. But yeah, like, massive win, and let's just hope that it's the start of an upward trend and that it becomes a habit and he keeps winning things.
Yeah. No, Malachi Fallon is not pregnant. Obviously, in the interview that we put out, she may have to take a year out to get herself well and so on. We all know she's not been well. So it may be a case of having to get herself fit and well again. So this come up on the stream for the Euro Tour about us doing a potential live show, like a fan debate, like they do on the Overlap.
Oh yeah, I love a bit of that. Yeah, see, we've got lots in the works actually. So we're going to do a bit of an outside summer afternoon session with a bit of content, and then we're going to do a live show in the garden. I think, do you know what I'm going to do? And you'll be too busy for this, Phil, but I'm not. I'm going to be in Blackpool for the match play, and I'm going to pick a pub and a day and a time, and I'm just going to go there, and I'm just going to tell everybody that watches the show and gets in the channel that if they're in Blackpool, come there that night, come there at that time, and we'll all have a bit of a chat, and it will be nice because there's an awful lot of people that get in the channel and they go to places like Blackpool, and I see them and interact with them all the time here. I never actually get the chance to have a chat with them in real life and have a pint or treat them to a pint even. I might even put my hand in my pocket. But yeah, we might do a bit of a meet up, I think, maybe while we're in Blackpool, and pick somewhere to I might just pick the name of a pub and a time and tell people to come and have a bit crack.
But yeah, something like an online darts fan debate like I do on the Overlap.
I reckon we could.
I think we can do something. Yeah,
the world's your oyster, really, isn't it? We could all sorts. A venue's a challenge, though. Like because
for something like that, we might have to book a purpose-built studio or something.
That's the problem. Is you need somewhere that's like, it's difficult to just throw it into a room and then get things working, and it takes a lot of people, not just Phil and I. There needs to be more people sort of running around in the background, and the difficulty is that like everyone's got lots of other shit jobs and commitments, and it's always a challenge.
It's definitely something we will look at, and we will try and get it on for you. So I've got a couple of days in the office, which is nice. So hopefully I can get through the shit that I've not been able to do during the Premier League.
You get caught back up on a few bits and bobs.
Yeah. So that's the plan for that. If you guys want, I will do a watch along on Friday. But like I said, I can't do Saturday because I've actually got a family commitment that I can't get out of. Hence why I'm not going to Copenhagen. So I can do it on the Friday for you guys. Chili says, when are we going to see Dan Simpson playing in our darts league in South Manchester?
Oh, it could be sooner than you're thinking of. Like, it could be, do you know? Oh no, where am I? I'm in London next week. I'm traveling a lot lately. I'm traveling around a lot. I was supposed to be on the road today, but I had a crisis at work and it kept me, it meant I had to clear my diary and get somewhere that I didn't expect to be.
Yeah, I know. Who's winning this weekend? Boring. Their name will be Luke.
Yeah. I think that's your final as well, you know, because they're in the different half of the bracket.
Yeah, I just don't know which one, but they're
Be the littler one.
it will be a Luke that wins.
Be the littler one.
But obviously next Monday we should have the draw by then, so we'll have the World Cup preview.
Oh yes, it's World Cup time, isn't it? Oh, I tell you what, it never stops, does it?
Oh, it's bad. It's
I was saying June would be going to be quiet. June's normally quite quiet, isn't it? But it's not. It's bloody World Cup.
Don't be silly.
Bloody World Cups. Oh, we can do a bit of all sorts. We can do team by team. Oh, we've got all sorts of ways to preview the World Cup. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I need to find out who these fuckers are first. Some of them. I need to do some bloody reason. Do not, Philip, catch me unaware with that one. Like, if we're doing the World Cup, you need to tell me in advance.
Next Monday, we will be talking about the World Cup. I'll tell you now.
Chat GPT. No, let me. I'm going to need to do some research on some of these lads. There's some rogue characters in there that I need to do some research on.
Yeah, Bob, I think the World Cup draw will be this week. Again, I'm not privy to information, but I think it'll be this week. I tell you what, the 2 hours has absolutely flown by. I have loved tonight's show. Big thank you to our guests talking all things darts in Australia. It was a pleasure to have Greg and Ian on talking about everything. You guys have absolutely smashed it as always. This will be available as an audio only in the morning from all good podcast providers, so you can listen while you're walking the dog or in the gym or whatever. You can listen to us ranting along. But thank you very much. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button as always and turn those notifications on. But thank you very much for the support. I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We have been the Live Lounge, and we will see you all next week, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.